Health calls on passengers to report. Fishing industry wants easing of restrictions. And locals build school on their own.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday's news. The National Department of Health is recalling passengers who travelled on 2 Philippine airline flights from Manila into Port Moresby on the 31st of January and the 4th of this month. The recall comes as debates took place in Parliament on the government's measures in place to prevent the coronavirus reaching PNG's shores. Immigration Minister Wesley Nukunj, when responding to questions in Parliament, also advised that the Wutung border has been reopened with relevant authorities on the ground to screen travellers.
As Parliament rose for the first sitting of this year, the National Department of Health's Facebook page posted a recall of passengers travelling on Philippines Airlines on the 31st of January and on the 4th of this month, the post causing panic amongst social media users. Meanwhile, here in Parliament, the Immigration Minister was questioned on how exactly they are protecting our borders from the coronavirus.
One plan now, Department of Immigration
Immigration Minister Wesley Nukunj responding to the question with the same rhetoric that has been said in the past 2 weeks of measures in place at the airport and sea. But for the land border, Minister Nukunj stating Wutung border has been reopened.
We need to work close to the provincial government now. I think all local members too. You may need to provide him leadership. So I had the opportunity to actually call the opposition leader who also happens to come from Sandan province, but he has not come back to me up till now. I can see him sitting on the other side. So all this law, measure am stop finish. So government am ready, am protecting all citizens belong am.
Meanwhile, the former Foreign Affairs Minister and member for Mopanamanda concerned that the virus was not as deadly as other viruses like SARS. Minister Wong not mentioning anything on the callback or why it was necessary. Meanwhile, MTV News has confirmed a number of students from Wuhan City had made it back to PNG, even though the government had directives in place to not uplift any passenger from Wuhan and Hubei province. Adelaide Sturrock-Curry, National EMTV News.
65 newly confirmed coronavirus cases have been confirmed on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship. That's nearly double the number to 135 from the last report. The ship has the single highest concentration of coronavirus infections outside of China, and there are fears that that number will keep climbing. 11 New Zealanders are among passengers stuck on a coronavirus-hit cruise ship in Japan. Globally, the death toll has also gone up to more than 1,000.
The 3 that took an unexpected turn.
First time away from our kids, and again we're desperate to get home to our 2 young children.
Aucklanders James and Lulu have spent the last 6 days confined to a cabin on board the Diamond Princess. Their room has no windows and they're allowed just an hour in the fresh air each day.
Yeah, this is our room, kind of what we're dealing with. So you can probably see there's limited walking space.
While they haven't tested positive for the coronavirus, the worry is constant.
And another biggest fear is that if one of us has been diagnosed virus and they might be separate us, we don't want to be separated.
Yeah, I mean, that would be terrible.
That would be our biggest fear, to be honest.
Yeah.
11 New Zealanders remain on board the vessel and are facing isolation until at least next Wednesday.
We're still hoping that we can get off on the 19th at the end of quarantine. There's no official talk about extension, but we've seen a couple of media articles which might mention that.
Do you have a message for the Prime Minister?
Save us. If they can do something similar for the people in Wuhan, I hope that they can do the same thing for the 11 more Kiwi on board.
As you can imagine, other countries, they have to be able to uphold their own public health. They have to be able to maintain quarantines. We're doing the same. And so that is a situation that we're just not in a position to assist people breaking out of quarantine.
Experts from the World Health Organization have arrived in China to investigate the outbreak, but there are further concerns now the virus has infected people who've never been there.
The detection of this small number of cases could be the spark that becomes a bigger fire. But for now, it's only a spark.
China's president meeting with doctors dealing directly with the effects of the virus.
I want to express high respect and sincere gratitude to you all, the medical workers who are fighting on the front line of the battle against the epidemic.
Those aboard the Diamond Princess are facing their own challenge, at least another week locked away from the world.
1 day at a time. We've got 8 nights to go.
Yeah, counting down.
To other news now, the PNG Fishing Industry Association is calling on the government and relevant authorities to lift restrictions on PNG fishing vessels coming through quarantine checks in the country. President Sylvester Pokajam says these vessels are not coming from Asian ports and should not fall into quarantine checks for the deadly coronavirus.
The call to lift the restrictions comes after an order was issued to have all shipping vessels quarantined before entering ports throughout the country. The PNG Fishing Industry Association, or PNG FIA, believes this restriction should not apply to locally owned fishing vessels, as they do not pose a threat to the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Most of the vessels, they come into port because we have processing plants here, our own vessels. Those vessels that are licensed by NFA. So to quarantine a fishing boat, fishing vessels is nonsense because it did not go to Tianjin, it did not go to China.
President Sylvester Pokajam says the NFA has systems in place to monitor PNG vessels coming in and out of the country and appealed to relevant authorities for more consultation with the major players in the industry before imposing such restrictions.
In this case, we felt that NFA has not been consulted. Because NFA has got a system, a vessel monitoring system, where it can track those vessels at sea, those that went to port for unloading in Bangkok or in Tianjin or elsewhere, and they know exactly how many days they spend there, and then they come into port here in Papua New Guinea.
Meanwhile, Rene Barrion, an executive of the RD-PNG Group, says the restrictions and quarantine on fishing vessels can have a negative impact on the country's fish exports.
A memorandum like this might affect also, if it can reach this information can reach the buyers in Europe, might also affect their orders.
All fishing vessels are being quarantined in Rabaul, Lae and Port Moresby.
Most vessels that will come from Asia now are carrier vessels. But the rest of the carriers, they are also here, particularly in the Western Central Pacific. So the other carriers, the other vessels, yes, they can put them into that thing. But I think if we can look into exclude the fishing vessels. And if you have any doubt, NFA will let them know.
Stanley Over Jr., National MTV News.
Ambulance crews from St. John Ambulance today participated in an emergency drill as a training refresher. The drill comes after a short training facilitated by the St. John Ambulance to help its crew respond to emergency cases quickly. According to trainer David Kivovia, the ambulance crews have performed extremely well.
The emergency drill today saw the Bravo ambulance team attending to different emergency scenarios and injuries. These included internal bleeding, hip bone injuries, bone fractures and drowning. The drills aimed at helping to improve the ambulance's emergency response skills.
Ambulance service, we have 4 crews that work during the operations. So the operational crews, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie and Delta. This crew was Bravo that went through the exercise. Tomorrow onwards we have Delta crew that comes in, and following days will be for the other 2 remaining.
According to trainer David Kivovia, this is part of the ambulance service's effort in upskilling their ambulance crews to respond to cases on time. And this is the first time they are conducting these drills out on location. He said there has been a marked improvement in the way their crews respond to these emergency scenarios.
Because it was conducted for the first time, there were some areas that we needed to improve on. And that's why, like I said, will come to upskill here, and as it was the first time, we go back and sit down and evaluate on what we did okay and what we need to improve on.
According to Assistant Commissioner Rigo Narita, the Green Angels attend to over 800 emergency cases each month, and due to the increasing number of emergency cases, there is a need to train their ambulance crews to attend to cases faster. After the drill today, the Assistant Commissioner is confident they will do their best to save lives.
And they will need more training to upskill their through training. So basically, this year we will look on training them. The work that we are doing is to save a life, and that is most important thing that our organization is looking at. So giving more training to our staff in order to save a life.
But apart from training ambulance crew, the Green Angels also offer first aid training to various clients and the general public, training which the ambulance service believes are an important skill needed by the people in the society.
Well, we offer it to our corporate clients, general public, if they are willing to attend first aid trainings. There are certain fees to this training, and like I will say, first aid save lives. So in order for you to know first aid, you have to attend a training or course teaching first aid.
Meanwhile, there are also other emergency drills planned for the Alpha, Charlie and Delta ambulance team to participate. Rayon Lakingu, National MTV News.
This is National MTV News. Among stories after the break, issue of royalty payments raised again in Parliament, locals in Day District build new school, and Imbongo District gets new community development centre. We'll be back with the details. Welcome back to National MTV News. Imbongo District in the Southern Highlands Province will be the first district in the country to officially open its District Community Development Centre. The centre at the district level is a vehicle for driving social protection and empowerment programs for communities and families throughout the country.
Imbongo is the first district in the country to introduce the Community Development Service Delivery Framework. The District Development Center is a platform for driving community protection and empowerment programs.
Department, you have policies and laws for women, children, disability, elderly, youths, and this is a whole family unit you are talking about. So we've got that. Our challenge has been how to really deliver that right down to our people. And so this District Community Development Center, the first in Papua New Guinea, and that is in Imbongo, is going to be that template for us for the whole nation.
The center will be the hub for referral of social welfare cases needing attention, and also used as a channel for networking for social protection and program delivery amongst existing community-based organizations and government at the national and subnational levels. Community Development Minister Wake Goi says it will be a multi-purpose building where different government agencies will also be based.
And it's really for opening will save the wider, bringing every government departments and agencies together, and they will operate there. With civil registry will be there, or NID will be done in this building.
The center was built by a local contractor at a cost of 4.2 million kina, includes a transit house, and will come fully furnished. Imbongo MP Pila Niningi is looking forward to seeing his district be the first to use and benefit from this service. However, he also made a request to the department.
I also obviously want to request Minister and the Secretaries that you put up the, Assistant Secretary or Director level, some senior person to go and take in charge of the billing, so that all islands region will come under there.
The center will officially be opened next month, with other districts in other provinces like Gazelle and Biala to open their centers soon. Lilian Sopera Kinea, National MTV News.
a feeling of satisfaction among locals at the Munglamp local level government in the Day electorate of Western Highlands after getting news their newly built high school will soon be registered. It was built by the locals themselves, led by local councillor and LLG president John Wamp, to service the rural population. Vasina Tayama files this report from Mount Hagen.
Hagen North Provincial High School is the name of this new school in the Day electorate of Western Highlands, adding to the 25 existing high schools in the province. Western Highlands Education Board Chairman Mr. Lawrence Penna recognized their interest to build a high school without the help of the government and promised them that he will make sure the school will be registered this year.
Only come staff, no only got believe law community, all leaders, only got believe all people, all papa mama, all but walk strong law school, na school but slowly change na grow.
The locals at Killing Village said they desperately needed a high school for more than 10,000 people across 20 council wards. They do not have a high school for their children to attend, which prompted their local council and LLG president to organize and build a school in early 2018. Wamp gave his land for free and told the locals to provide free timber, free labor and other materials, which have seen them completing at least some classrooms and offices.
But you play making me see cutting down all proper place papa mama where all none of long affording of beginning blow call all big long blood distance where all beginning none of go line and they
enrolled their first grade 9s last year and will continue to enroll their first grade 10s and 9s this year.
You salim this land now, those will pick any combat. Next pick any Pagamlia or Golo one map. You salim pick any Camlia, you may walk on them. You mean the one from school boy, you mean?
Western Highlands Provincial Government, through the Provincial Education Board, recently gave 50,000 kina, which has seen the constructing of teachers' houses. The building of new high schools in the province by locals is one of Governor Pius Wingti's pillars in education to support locals and build at least 30 high schools in the province. Vasina Tayama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
A memorandum of understanding has been signed between the National Development Bank and Usinobundi District on a credit scheme and microfinance facility for the people to access. The bank and the district have